Hello, this is Abhinav and I welcome you. In this video, I'm answering on kind of not answering, but basically I'm discussing a question in the minds of people who are in US, whether they should max out their 401k in US if they plan to return back to India. Now, I have just some thought. This is a very kind of a debatable question. There is no clear one answer to this. I am giving the kind of uh, uh, arguments both for and against this, and then it's upon you how what is your personal situation, and accordingly you can decide. So I'm first giving the reasons for maxing out the 401k, and then I'll have my views, right? But then final choice is yours. It's your money, and it's your views. But then just I'm giving certain reasons for maxing out first. So now 401k, the best benefit for 401k, and I what I highly advise people always who are in there in US to first max out their 401k and max out their IRA investment contributions, because of the deductions, the deductions that are given by the IRS, right? So they are fully deductible up to maximum contribution limit. Then there is a reduced tax liability if you allow the money to grow tax deferred for a significant time, right? So till your money is there in the 401k or the IRA, it grows tax deferred, right? So what your aim should be to let it grow tax deferred for as significant a time as possible, so that you can reap the benefits. So it's not tax free as compared as like a PPF in India. It's not tax free, right? But I would say that it is even better than PPF, because PPF you can only get a select whatever 8%, whatever rate, 5 6 7 8%. But in 401k or in IRA you can choose where the equity, where equity can give you much better return, much longer time, and you can reap the benefits of compounding. So it's a very very good investment if you're a US resident, right? Now 401k contribution limit is also significantly higher than IRA contribution limit of like 7,000 for 2024, and there are some rules around limits of IRA getting adjusted if you or your spouse is eligible to contribute to a 401k. But essentially the point that I'm trying to make is that 401k IRA are very very good investments if you are in US. So your aim first should be to take the maximum tax advantage of investing in 401k IRA, and then if the money is left, then you can decide what to do. Money that the employer matches does not count as your income, and basically it's a free money, right? So there is within 401k, there is a to an extent there is an employer match that is available. It depends on what are the conditions of the 401k and all. This is just a general video. So to the extent the employer is matching your contribution, it is actually a free money, right? You should not leave that money on the table, right? Now, even if you liquidate, like for example, if you are moving back to India and you liquidate over 60,000, there is an estate tax that starts applying. So even on liquidation before return to India, if you liquidate keeping less than 60,000, the impact will be lower because it will be subject. So once you become a non-resident as per US tax law, and there is no income in India, no income in US, it's like, so the impact can be reduced, and even after considering 10% additional tax that you pay, still the impact with as compared to the benefit that you get with respect to the employer match, with respect to the tax deductions that you've got, will be far higher, right? Okay. Favorable tax. Now even if, so the 401k that you decide that, okay, I want to return back to India, is it good that I still contribute? So India offers a favorable tax treatment now after 2021, the new section 89A, where you can make the election for file form 10EE in India, which gives you tax deferral on that money in India also. So otherwise India would tax the 401k, the whatever is the income in the 401k every year, right? Which is the provision as per the Indian tax law. Indian tax law will totally ignore the tax advantage wrapper that is there, right? It will totally say that these are the investments, this is the income you tax. But then section 89A says that if you have an investment in a country like US, UK, Canada, which are kind of a retirement kind of a instrument, we are okay with deferring the tax till withdrawal, because those instruments are taxed in withdrawal. So India also is ready. So otherwise, if you withdraw so otherwise the income is taxable in India every year. What happens is that you don't get the credit of the US tax, because US will get the will tax it at the time of withdrawal, maybe after 59.5, but India will tax every year. However, because of this benefit that you get, the income will be taxable in India and the US in the same year. So there is a possibility of getting a tax credit of that particular money. So it's that is one more reason that even if you plan to return back to India after some years, you can first try to max out your 401k IRA and then look at other investments, right? Here I will say, friends, what the important thing is, lot of, in India there are a lot of people who push you for investing in Indian, avenues and all. See, never ask. There's always this quote by Warren Buffett: never ask a barber whether you need a haircut. Never ask a person who will get a commission from your investments to advise you where you need to invest. Right? Always consult a person who doesn't have anything to do with where you invest. That person can give you the right advice. Right? So first, I'm not saying that this option is right. I'll come to the next slide where I'm giving the reverse way. But don't just go by the Indian providers, or the relationship managers or the agents who say, because this is how they will get their money, their income. You have to think from your angle. Now, best option, if you have invested in 401k and if you can spare that money, you don't have a requirement to for that money, investing in money in India, you can spare that money, set that money aside. Best option, keep it till 59.5, allocate towards your retirement goal, right? Even if you want to retire in India, even if you have any long term goal, you can keep it in US. Indian FEMA regulations allow you to keep it in US, or allow you to even invest it any third country. For example, if you have a significant corpus in US, maybe later sometime you want to be maybe buy a property in Dubai, and you can definitely do that. There are no restrictions under section 6(4) of FEMA. You are fully allowed to do whatever with that particular money, even after becoming an Indian resident, right? So that Indian FEMA also allows you. So you can keep it there, keep it as a port, or it can also act as a portfolio diversification. You come back to India, start earning money in India, and that can act as a portfolio diversification. Because see, India and US both are strong economies, both will continue to remain strong economies in future. So even if your overall ultimate plan is to retire back in India, it's still, there is a big case for keeping money maybe allocated 50-50 in US and India, right? So and ignore the currency risk element. So uh, okay, I don't want to digress too much in this video, because anyways this is going to be a long video. Maybe currency risk I'll take in a separate video, but still ignore the currency risk, keep it in the 401k. Now, within this period of that you are keeping the money in, that you have invested in 401k, you can explore the opportunities for penalty free withdrawal, like qualified education expenses, medical expenses, first house purchase, birth of a, I think, a first child, right? So all that things you can see, where if you need the money, then you can also explore and you can claim a penalty free withdrawal, right? But then if you then withdraw, then to that extent the income will be taxed in India. The income from that income will also be taxed, even if you have kind of filed a form 10EE, right? Okay, when you withdraw, you can withdraw in parts. Even after 59.5, when you withdraw, you can withdraw in parts, right? So every year you can withdraw, so that you only withdraw till the income is taxed at a lower tax slab, right? So you can kind of phase out your withdrawal to attract a lower tax implication in US. And whatever is the income tax implication in India, anyways you can get a tax credit in on that amount, FTC on that amount, right? So that were all the reasons for maxing out, right? Uh, Now let's talk about reasons when you need to pause and think. So this approach is also wrong when you say a blanket approach that no, you should always max out. No, that doesn't always work. That is always not the right kind of an advice. Now, when you need to pause and think is when you have some high cost debts, like credit card debt, personal loans back in India also, or in US also, if you've taken those kind of loans. So the first thing is that you should use that money, whatever is your income, to uh, get off the loans from your head, right? Then non-availability of an emergency fund. So first and foremost, you should have an emergency fund of at least 6 months, right? So that should be the first target, right? Don't go too much, because whatever amount that you invest in 401k, or invest with that mind that it is gone for like 20, 30 years, right? So don't be in a rush too much for kind of taking the tax reduction. First create all these things. Non-availability of adequate, first you need to have all these bases covered: life, health, disability insurance. Now in US there are certain provisions around that. So first ensure that your life, health, disability insurance thing is covered. Intention of buying a house or any other significant expense that is going to come in the near future. For example, you may be deciding to start a family, or there may be some requirements around sending money home. So you have to see all those angles first, right? And then decide on what is the surplus that you have, which can be. You don't want to kind of lock your money in 401k and then have be get into a debt like situation, take debt. You don't want to do that, right? Stability of job, how much your job is stable. If your job is quite stable and everything, then you have more reasons to invest in 401k. If your job itself is not very stable, so first have a good emergency fund in place. To what extent the employer match is available, that is also one factor that you can decide. What are the fees and investment choices in 401k versus IRA? So when you decide about whether to invest in 401k or put surplus amount in IRA, you can check how good is your 401k, what kind of facilities that you get in 401k vis-a-vis IRA, right? So these are some reasons where you need to pause and think before maxing out. Now, possible strategy is, according to my view, is that 401k is only part of your overall financial plan, right? It's not your entire kind of financial plan, right? Now, you should not be in a rush to maximize your 401k just because someone else is doing it, and there is no one size fits all plan, right? So it has to be seen from your financial situation. If you are not clear, if you're not good at doing, in this personal financial planning thing, learn, right? There's no option of learning. Or get a registered financial advisor in US who can advise you in these things. But always, friends, what I always believe in, what I say is, uh, there can be advisors, but there can be no one who knows your financial life better than you. So always spend some time researching on emergency fund planning, contingency fund, insurance, all these things, investment planning, asset allocation. Very important thing, asset allocation. You should be well conversant about that, and then you should consult a third an advisor, because then when he discusses with you, then you are in a better position to kind of absorb those things, right? um, the initial years in US, when your salary is low, first try to cover the essential basis: emergency fund, all the insurances, right? Getting rid of the loans, if any, credit card loans and everything. And and you contribute till your employer match, right? At least contribute till employer match, because that is like you get a free money from the employer. So that's like a no brainer. Over and above the employer match is where the question comes whether you should continue in 401k or not. Once the bases are covered, you have surplus funds over and above the match, your job is stable, everything is good, then you can decide on maxing out the 401k. Now, check the terms of the 401k. If the fees is high, investment choices are restricted, there are conditions on withdrawal, then you can direct over and above the employer match to an IRA. So, see the limits, how much is allowed and everything. If after covering all the bases and without jeopardizing other financial goals, if you can max both 401k and IRA, by all means, please go for it, right? Prefer traditional 401k IRA to a Roth if you plan to return to India in view of the preferential. So India gives a preferential tax treatment to 401k. In my view, the Section 89A election that one gets, maybe the wording of 89A is not kind of allowed to the benefit does not allow to the Roth IRA, in my view. So consider preferring. So people who have Roth IRA investments, they have this question that, oh, India will tax this amount because it's already taxed. I thought it will not be taxed when I return to India. No, if you see the fine wordings, India has the right to tax Roth IRA, and maybe the 89A election cannot be made for Roth. So what my request is that prefer traditional 401k or traditional IRA to the Roth thing if your plan is to return back to India. Roth is a great investment from an estate planning perspective. If you want to maybe remain back in US, right? Because then there is no tax. you can gift it, and it's a very good estate planning instrument. But if your plan is to return back to India, try to max 401k IRA first. Align your investments of the 401k IRA to your overall asset allocation. Only don't think very narrow. So take help of a financial advisor if you want. Tag the 401k to a goal, and then it's very important. It's not that in maximizing the 401k. It's also very important to see the investments that you have made in 401k that should be in alignment with your long-term goals. So if you have a lot of time on hand, you should your a big portion of your funds within the 401k should be aligned to equity, right, and not to fixed income. So that also you need to check. Okay, so this is some points. And one more a point I will add here is, a lot of people, because they have a lot of pressure from Indian agents, Indian service providers, that invest in India, growth story. Friends, in view of the PFIC and everything, regulations and the way IRS treats investments, I always advise people who are in US residents planning to invest, first try to maximize your 401k, first try to maximize your IRA, put money in HSA also, if you can put that, and if there are tax benefits to doing that, then whatever amount is left, you can consider US stocks or US ETFs, right? And if you want to take India exposure, you can take India exposure. And and that will be the better approach, investing in US, considering the whole the IRS thing, right? It's a better approach. And never, never, never invest in Indian mutual funds because of the PFIC and the other challenges around that. So I hope I have made kind of given some view on this. Do share your thoughts on comments, feedback on this particular topic. It's a topic which where everyone will have their own different view. And thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much.